My niggas be getting money, been getting money, nigga, we got money. My niggas be busting heads, I dare one of y'all try to take it from me. Y'all niggas ain't living that shit, ain't buying no whips, ain't flipping no bricks. Y'all niggas ain't breaking bread, y'all niggas don't wanna live like this. My niggas be
Guys, what is up? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. Recently got this sent and put it in terms of reviews far ahead of others on my list, because when I saw this one coming out, guys, I got excited. When I drank, Absinth was a favorite of mine, and before the founders of an absinthe company called Lucid actually went to lobby Congress to make absinthe legal again in the United States, I used to pay a lot of money to get absinthe before it was legal in the country. I also like Crabtree and Evelyn quite a bit. Wet shavers know well that they make quality creams and quality scents, so this one had me really excited. The only other scent that I have from this house is a fragrance called Sandalwood, and their sandalwood's actually quite nice. There's nothing else currently on my to-buy list from this house, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But before we talk about black absinthe, let's talk about the house. Crabtree and Evelyn is an American house that was started by a man named Cypress Harvey in 1970. The name is inspired by John Evelyn, who was a 17th century English naturalist and conservationist who kept an extensive diary of his travels and day-to-day life in England and abroad. And the company's symbol is a crabapple tree, which is native to Britain. The house started as a very small shop in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It was a family business that offered different types of soaps from around the world. At the time, botanical beauty products hadn't really been fostered, so he did really well and expanded into other personal products as well. And then in 1977, he was able to open his second boutique. The mission of the company is to create products that transform ordinary rituals of daily life into pleasurable experiences. And so they offer bath and beauty products for men and women, as well as fragrances and home fragrances and accessories for the bathroom and kitchen. Now, interestingly enough, the company commissioned the creation of their own rose, something called the Evelyn rose, to be used in their products. English rose expert David Austin spent 8 years and went through 30,000 different seedings to achieve the perfect rose for Crabtree and Evelyn's products. And it's used in their Evelyn rose fragrance, as well as that body care line. And basically for that line in the fragrance, that rose is combined with green accords, peony, and peach. Most of the scents from Crabtree and Evelyn are based on classical floral notes like lavender, rosewater, and iris. They also produced a spa line that offers hand care products that aims at protecting the hands of gardeners, which we'll talk about more in a little bit. And they also do a wet shaving line that they put out in conjunction with the British shaving house Edward Jagger. Now, this company was sold in 1996 to KLK, and they currently have shops in over 40 different countries and 43 scents in their fragrance catalog. This one is their latest, and it is called Black Absinthe. It was introduced earlier this year and has notes of artemisia and fennel at the top, black licorice and anise in the middle, and vetiver and tonka in the base. This is part of their Heritage Collection, which is their middle price tier line. They also have bergamot and neroli fragrances in this line. They also have a very high-priced Oriental collection that I will also talk to in a bit. This one comes in one size. It is 100 milliliters. It is eau de cologne, and there's one price, and it's $60. Now, for whatever reason, this is listed on their site, but has been out of stock since it was released, so a little confusing. I purchased my bottle from the location under Rockefeller Center, and I was also given this bottle of Gardener's hand cream free with my purchase, and this stuff is awesome, guys. It doesn't feel like your typical like hand cream. This one is rough. It almost feels like a scrub. It has like little beads in it, but man, does it do a good job of really softening and getting the dead skin off your hand. So this was a nice little gift, and I really appreciate this freebie thrown in. Now, just real quick, as far as what absinthe is, for those of you who might not know, it is a liquor, a high spirit liquor that contains wormwood and a lot of other spices and something called thujone, which actually, thujone in high enough doses can cause psychosis. And basically, when people were dying, you know, the story is that Van Gogh drank absinthe and cut his ear off. Which I think is not. I think it's more lore. He definitely cut his ear off, but I don't think it was because of absinthe. And the problem with the absinthe, a lot of people think that it was the wormwood, was actually the thujone, which can be poisonous and cause sort of psychosis in really high doses. So American absinthe, the thujone and American absinthe has to be under a certain level. And basically, there are now hundreds of different absinthes out there. The way you're supposed to drink it, you get an absinthe glass, which has a dosing line, and you fill the absinthe, the glass up with absinthe, that dosing line. Then you put a slotted spoon over the top of the glass with a sugar cube on it, and then you drip cold water on that sugar cube. They actually have absinthe fountains that do this. You drip cold water on the cube until it dissolves in the absinthe, and then it goes from this sort of very clear green liquid to a very milky sort of pale green liquid, and that's called lushing. The absinthe, when the absinthe lushes, is when it turns that milky green color, and it really opens up, and you get really fragrant notes of licorice and anise and wormwood and stuff like that. If you like ouzo or anisette, you know, then you might like absinthe. I think it's just a fun thing to drink. I really enjoy drinking absinthe. When I did drink, it was something that I had a nice little collection of absinthe, so I don't think it's not going to make you trip or get you high in a crazy way. It's just going to get you a nice little buzz, and it's very pleasant tasting in my opinion. Now, as far as your presentation on this, guys, the box is nice. Crabtree and Evelyn Black Absinthe Eau de Cologne. The bottom comes out and the fragrance sits in there. Really cool design on the box, and there's a little bit of copy on the back that says Absinthe Begin Life as a herbal tincture before transforming into the muse of the French Bohemian crowd in what became known as the Green Hour. It was drunk as a way to relax and thought by some to increase creativity. Paying homage to this rich history, Black Absinthe Eau de Cologne underscores the lively, herbaceous notes of absinthe, artemisia, and fennel flower blended with licorice, peppy vetiver, while a creamy tonka base note adds a deep sensual tone. So there you go. You have your batch coat on the bottom. Really solid, nice box. The bottle is really, I think, pretty cool looking. It's sort of like shaped like one of those big water containers that are on like dispensers that you turn upside down. Black Absinthe. You have a sticker on the bottom, Crabtree and Evelyn, embossed on the bottom, but there is no atomizer. There is no fucking atomizer, and there was no option to buy an atomizer with this. And for me, that is a deal breaker. It's really hard for me to break down the scent without being able to spray it. And the top on this one, the pour spout isn't small enough. So if you try to turn this one over on your wrist or neck, juice flies out. Because of that pour spout, it's also very difficult to decant into an atomizer. Why there was no option given for an atomizer is crazy to me. Santa Maria Novella also does splash fragrances, but they give you an atomizer when you buy the product, and I'm shocked that Crabtree and Evelyn do not. I really think there's a huge difference between dabbing a fragrance and spraying a fragrance, and I think the reason why is the same reason why you let wine decant. You want it to get in the air or have exposure to air to really open it up, and I think when you spray a fragrance, it really opens up, and I think when you just dab it on, you never really get the full sort of the full story of the fragrance, to be quite honest with you guys. And it's a pity because I really enjoy this fragrance. People who watch my channel know that I love licorice and anise in fragrances, which is why I was so happy for this one. And this one is really nice. You know, you get some bitterness with the artemisia and an herbal component, but then there's this just great dose of black licorice, some anise, and it has a green component as well with that vetiver note. And then the entire fragrance is anchored really wonderfully with the tonka note at the base of the scent. So I have zero problems with how this fragrance smells. It smells great. If you like vanilla and licorice, I just can't see how someone wouldn't like this one. It's not as complex as I'm making it sound because it doesn't really evolve on the skin, but it's pleasant the whole time that it's there. The second problem though, minus the lack of the atomizer, is the putrid performance of this cologne. I realize this is only an EDC. I totally get it, but I think it is shameful to charge $60 for a fragrance this light sans atomizer. I get at best a couple hours out of this one and maybe a couple of minutes of decent projection. This isn't far off performance-wise, honestly, for me, from a scent like 4711. And why I think 4711 is actually worthwhile is because you could get it for like $5 or $6, not 60. I was about to say that you can't overspray this one, but you literally can't overspray this one. It is a unisex scent and it will work in any season, though it won't last in any of them, and therefore it's fine for any occasion as well. If you were looking for something like this and can't get it, or just don't want to waste your money, and you want something better, I would recommend checking out Black Vines by Kerosene, which is a fantastic black licorice fragrance. I would recommend checking out Absinth Fou de Absinthe by L'Artisan Parfumé, another fantastic absinthe fragrance. And the great, maybe the best absinthe scent, maybe for me, is Absinthe by Nasamato, which is sort of like this, but just on real steroids. If someone were trying to talk you into buying this one, I would think they would say, it smells good, and if you don't like scents that really sort of are out there and will get you noticed, then this one will work for you, and there are some people like that. I think if someone were trying to talk you out of buying this one, I would say there's no atomizer, the performance is shit, and it's just that unique. It's not that unique, and that's where I'm coming from, guys. Skip this one. I'm giving this a 3.5 out of 10. I could forgive the splash top if this one beasted performance-wise, or I could live with the lack of performance if I could easily reapply this one. Both negatives make this really a bad value in my eyes, and I think my #1 duty is to protect my subscribers' funds in any way that I need to. And the message that I need you to walk away with here is that for $60, you can go and get a beautiful absinthe scent like Fou de Absinthe on sites like FragranceNet, which makes this a terrible value. And it's a real shame because their Oriental collection, which goes for $200 a pop, they're actually nice fragrances. I smelled a few of those. I smelled a Persian tea one and a Assam oud one, and they were pretty good, but they are really crappy presented, and I don't know that they would last that long. I think Crabtree and Evelyn really needs to get their house in order in regards to their fragrances. Those $200 fragrances have cheap caps. Their Heritage collection doesn't have atomizers or last on the skin. Crabtree and Evelyn has the wherewithal to make scents that smell good, but when it comes down to actually getting them into production and turning them into consumer goods, there's an unacceptable disconnect for me, and I think they need to fix this. It's not the 80s anymore. The competition is stiff for these mall beauty shops, and you look at what a house like L'Occitane and Lush does and how seriously they take their fragrance, it makes what Crabtree and Evelyn is doing that much more glaring. I can really only give this one points for smelling good for a couple minutes that it does, and yeah, the box is nice. It doesn't last. You can't buy it on their site, you can't spray it on, and it's not the most original thing that I've ever come across. You need to show me, companies need to show me that they not only just care about their products, but that they care about their customers' interaction with their products. And that's where I have the big problem with Crabtree and Evelyn, and that's where I have the big problem with Black Absinth. So 3.5 out of 10 for me, guys. If this one had an atomizer and it lasted longer, easily could have been a 7 or 8 or maybe more for me, but I find this unacceptable. And I just want to protect your money. So that is my review of Black Absinth by Crabtree and Evelyn. We will be back next week with more videos and another review. I am Maximilian, guys.